Hey team, Dano here from the Dano Sonic Ensemble. Dose! So the last video that I posted a week or so back got some really good comments from a couple of my buddies and some friends, and they actually wanted to know a little bit more about the studio here. As you know, I run a studio called Mandolin Studios, and I have been recording music for about 25 years. And I was thinking the other day that I have had about 16 iterations of my studio set up in different houses and facilities that I've lived and worked in over the years. So this is the most recent iteration, version 16 I'm calling it. So I put some chapter markers in so you can skip ahead if there's certain areas that you want to focus on. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the eDrum set, the Yamaha, about the Mackie mixer, the 16 channel, and then a little bit about cables and connectors, and then we'll go from there. Should be interesting. So let's dive in here. You can see right behind me, this is the Yamaha drum set. Actually, it's two Yamaha drum sets. So I made a video last year, you can see the thumbnail here, and I discussed how I Frankensteined these two drum sets together. Here's a quick recap. So you can see, here's my snare, hi-hat, China, 3 toms there. I like the cowbell, so cowbell, cowbell, cowbell. That's another hi-hat because my buddy Jersey also plays on this drum set, so it's kind of a hybrid for both of us. Way down here, I have kick, 2 kick pedals, look at that. Another hi-hat controller over here, pretty cool. And then of course the cymbals, crash, ride, splash, another splash. And okay, so next we have the 2 MIDI brains. So this is the MIDI brain for this Yamaha DTXplorer. So I can dial through different drum sets, different kits, program it how I like, and that controls half of the drum set. Over here I have the other one, the other MIDI brain, and this controls the other half of the drum set. So this gives me essentially a left and a right coming out of this drum set. And you can see all the connectors here on top. All of this plugs into the Simmons amp under here. So the drummer has easy access to control what's going on as far as the inputs and a little bit of equalization, the subwoofer and the master. So this Simmons has a left and a right input, which are this green cable and this black cable right here. And those go in, can control the sound. And then out, back in here, we have XLR out for left and right. So you can see that one's kind of yellow and that one is red, it looks like. And those come along this wall into the Mackie. And this is the Mackie mixer, the 1620i Onyx mixer. And this is what I discussed a little bit last week. So here we have the drum channel left and right coming in. There's the yellow and the red. This orange and this blue are coming in from this amp right here. And this is my Fishman amp that I use for vocals and guitar. So my goal with recording, at least in this studio iteration, is to make it really easy for my band to get together and just start recording and get high quality inputs without a lot of cables, a lot of hassle. So that's why I have this Fishman amp set up. Let's take a look. So this is a sweet little Fishman amp, right? It has 2 inputs, and each one of these inputs is both an XLR and a 1/4 inch, so I can plug in both types of cables. They have the normal low, mid, and high, the gains, has a nice anti-feedback, has a phaser, and then it has 2 levels of effects, A and B, each with 4 different effects on it. So it's enough, but it's not a lot, which I really like. I don't like to be overwhelmed with too many things. And then on the back here, I have a direct output for each one of those inputs. So you see the orange and the blue, that is for channels 1 and 2 coming out of this Fishman amp. And those also come right over here into the Mackie mixer. So you see the orange and the blue, channels 1 and 2 out of the Fishman, and then the 2 drum channels, and then this black line here is the bass, and I'll show you that in just a second. So that gives me 3 more powered channels coming in on this mixer. So you see we have the XLR inputs as well as the 1/4 inch inputs on all of these 8 channels right here. And then these remaining 4 channels are stereo channels. So I can plug a 1/4 inch cable or 2 into each one of these and use them as a stereo in or use them as a mono in. So there's a lot of options going on there. I also have several outs coming into this headphone preamp. So this allows me to get 4 sets of headphones coming out, each with volume control. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That way if I'm recording vocals and I want the band to hear, I can give them, everyone, their own mix of headphones to their desired level of volume. We've seen the drums that are set up really easy, so a drummer can sit down, just turn on the amp and the drums and start playing, and we'll get a high quality signal into the mixer. We saw the guitar, the Fishman amp, where the player can start playing the guitar and start singing right away, and that's real easy to go into the mixer. And now here is the bass, the 5th part of this combination. This is my Ibanez 5-string here, it's what I'm currently playing, active electronics, and it's going into this Behringer amp. And then I have a few foot pedal switches there. I may talk about this later. But out of this Behringer on the back side, you can see there is an XLR cable coming out here, and that's this guy. And I have that running across my studio so it plugs directly in. This is a direct out. It captures all the sound from the foot pedals and it sends it right into the mixer. Another one of my goals in setting up this studio is to be able to have the room sound be as loud or as quiet as the band wants to be while they're performing, so we can hear everything but not affect the recording levels of the tracks going into the software. So to do that, we'll take a look at the mixer again. So down here are all the sliders on the mixer, right? So channel 1 and 2, as we remember, are the vocal and guitar coming in. 3 and 4 are the drums. 3 and 4 are the drums, the bass, and another guitar. These sliders affect the levels going out to the software. Up here, these white knobs at the top, these are the gain knobs. So these gain knobs affect the levels coming in. So we have basically a gain / volume control of the levels coming in. We have all the equalization. We can run in additional patches and effects if we wanted. I don't have anything at the moment. Then we have a pan. Pan is left and right. So as you can see here, I have the drums panned a little bit left and this one panned a little bit right. And then I have all of these sliders mixed to where I want them to be as far as the inputs are coming in. All of these sliders are mixed to where I want the inputs to be. And then with this mute button here on top, I can push the sound out through my monitor mixers or keep it muted. So I have them all muted because I don't want the monitors to affect the room sound. So here is one of the monitors. Right here, this is a Roland monitor, Cube brand, the CM30. Everyone likes the CM30. And the thing about this is that it has 3 inputs. So you see channel 1, 2, and 3. So channel 1 has an XLR on it, and the other 2 are just 1/4 inch inputs. So I have the mixer, the outs of the mixer, the left and right going into this monitor and the one on the other side of my computer monitor. And these are powered, so I can turn this on and we get a nice shiny red button. That's pretty cool. Okay, so one item I want to discuss with a little more detail is the way that I connect the Mackie 1620i mixer into my computer. So the Mackie 1620i is an older mixer. It's still very good, it's still fantastic, it still gives me 16 channels into the software. But it is an older output format called Firewire 400. So some of you guys remember the old Firewire. It was the successor for SCSI. And some of you really old folks remember what SCSI is. It was an old computer interface that you could daisy chain together. So there used to be SCSI hard drives, and then they got kind of superseded by IDE hard drives, and then later SATA or SATA drives. So SCSI gave birth basically to Firewire. Firewire extended the capability of SCSI because it could daisy chain. And USB kind of extended the capability of IDE because you can't daisy chain USB devices. So let me show you the Firewire 400 cable here. So you see that guy there, right? It kind of tapers on the bottom. So that's the Firewire 400, and it's outdated. You can't get this anymore. So what did I do? So here's the other end. That cable that you just saw, the Firewire 400, the other side of it is this Firewire 800. So we've gone up 400 Firewires. No, the 800 had a bigger throughput and was in use for quite a while, maybe 5 or 10 years. So the cable itself coming out of the mixer is Firewire 400 on one side and 800 here. And then I have this adapter. Here's the female side of the Firewire 800. And that is going into Thunderbolt. This is an Apple proprietary connection. It kind of looks like a mini display cable on the PC side. So some Macs have this Thunderbolt cable. But if yours doesn't, there's another adapter. So this is the male side of the Thunderbolt, and here's the female side. So these guys go together. And then here we have USB-C, finally. So all of these together, all of these together are what it takes to connect that mixer to a modern Mac. But it works. Hooray. It's kind of like those old days when you had your 8-track adapter and you would plug in your cassette adapter and then you would plug in your CD adapter. So that's kind of what we're still doing. Cables are going to be the death of me. Bleh. But there we are. This is Logic Pro 10. I recently upgraded from 9. Audio engineers are notorious for sticking with their old software forever. But the way I have it set up here in Logic, right here we have the vocal, we have the guitar. So these are channels 1 and 2 coming in from the mixer. So I could highlight that, and you see input coming in. That's input 2, the vocal. Here, this is the guitar, the drums left and right. And I like color coding stuff, so I color coded them similar to the color of the cables that you saw. And there's the bass, and then there's another vocal track. So the goal is to be able to sit down, start recording right away, hit the record button, and have everything piped in so I don't have to recreate everything every time. And so that's just a quick little rundown of how the studio is currently set up. Let me know what you guys think. If you want me to talk a little more about certain aspects of any of this, I'm glad to share it. This is kind of like a beginner video. I know a lot of you are well more experienced with recording and you do things your own way. This is kind of for the intro level of people who maybe are just getting started or are kind of curious of how the magic happens here at Mandolin Studios. Anyway, thanks for checking it out. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and check out the music on iTunes and Spotify and all the good stuff. And don't forget, dose. Bueno, bye.